Commander Therax of the Vorkan Dominion stood on the bridge of his warship, the Iron Talon, watching the small human vessel drift to the neutral zone like a leaf caught in cosmic wind. His 4 eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction. After 3 cycles of hunting across 17 star systems, he had finally cornered his prey. "Finally," he growled, his voice rumbling to the command center like distant thunder. "The human called Maya Reed ends a run today. Prepare boarding parties. I want her alive. She needs to understand the price of humiliation before she dies." His second officer, Krell, shifted nervously. "Commander, our intelligence suggests caution. This human has evaded capture 42 times. She destroyed 3 of our hunting packs without firing a single shot. Perhaps we should simply eliminate the vessel from distance and claim victory." Therax's mandibles clicked in irritation. "You speak like a coward, Krell. Where's the honor in that? Where's the lesson for others who might dare mock the Dominion? No, I will face her. I will show the galaxy that humans are not clever. They are simply lucky, and luck always runs out." 3 months earlier, Maya Reed had done something no one had dared attempt in decades. During a diplomatic reception on Station Meridian, she had challenged Therax to a contest of military strategy. The Vorkan were renowned as the greatest warriors in known space, their battle tactics studied in every military academy across 100 worlds. They had never lost a war, never retreated, never compromised. Therax had laughed at her challenge, assuming it would be a brief amusement before the tedious negotiations continued. They would simulate a fleet engagement, command virtual armadas, demonstrate tactical superiority. Instead, Maya had smiled and suggested something different. "Let's make it interesting, Commander. A real hunt. You have 7 standard days to capture me using any resources the Dominion can spare. If you succeed, humanity will accept every trade restriction you proposed. If I remain free, you withdraw your blockade of the Terran colonies and publicly apologize for calling humans inferior scavengers." The room had fallen silent. Even the other human diplomats had looked shocked. Therax should have recognized the trap, should have questioned why someone would risk so much on such apparently foolish terms. But his pride, that burning need to prove Vorkan supremacy, had blinded him to caution. He accepted immediately, certain that within 2 days, maybe 3 at most, he would have this arrogant human in chains. 7 days became 7 weeks, then 7 more. Each time his fleets cornered her, she vanished. Each time his hunters closed their grip, she slipped through gaps that should not have existed. Worse, she left messages, taunting little notes broadcast on open channels that every species in the sector could intercept. "Nice try, Therax. Your formation in the Kelvin Nebula showed real creativity. Almost worked. Maybe next time, try thinking 3 moves ahead instead of 1. Commander, your pursuit pattern is so predictable. I had time to stop for lunch at that lovely station near the binary stars. They serve excellent Andromedan noodles. You should try them sometime. Oh, wait. You're probably too busy explaining to your superiors why one human keeps embarrassing your entire navy. My apologies. Therax, darling, I noticed your new tracking algorithm. Clever. Took me almost 40 minutes to bypass it. Is that the best the Dominion's technology division can offer? I have kitchen appliances more sophisticated than your sensor nets. Each message drove him deeper into rage. The other Dominion commanders whispered behind his back. The High Council demanded explanations. His family name, respected for generations, became associated with failure, all because of one human who refused to fight properly, who treated warfare like some kind of elaborate joke. Now, finally, the chase was ending. "Sir, the human vessel is powering down," Krell reported, studying his tactical display. "Life support minimal. Engines cold. Either she has exhausted her resources, or this is another deception." "Scan that ship," Therax commanded. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know if she has hidden weapons, escape pods, anything that might represent a threat or exit strategy." The scanning officer worked quickly, multiple appendages dancing across holographic controls. "Commander, I detect 1 human life sign. No weapons active. No secondary systems online. The vessel appears genuinely disabled. Hull integrity is compromised in Section 4. Fuel reserves at 3%. Unless this is the most elaborate fake sensor profile ever created, she is trapped. Therax felt satisfaction warming his chest. Life support at minimum. She sits in the dark, cold and afraid, waiting for us. Perfect. Deploy boarding craft. Surround her vessel. I want no possibility of escape, no margin for error. And Krell, prepare the broadcast equipment. When I drag Maya Reed from her ship in chains, I want every world in this sector to witness it. Let them see what happens when lesser species challenge the Dominion. The Iron Talon moved closer, its massive bulk dwarfing the small human craft. Boarding shuttles launched like a swarm of metallic insects surrounding their target. Therax himself led the primary boarding team, refusing to delegate this moment of triumph. The airlocks connected with hollow clangs that echoed through both vessels. Cutting torches flared as Vorkan soldiers burned through the outer hatches. Therax checked his armor systems, his weapon charged and ready, though he doubted he would need it. Maya Reed was not a fighter. She was a runner, a trickster, someone who survived through cleverness rather than strength. Now her cleverness had finally failed. The inner door gave way. The boarding team stormed through, weapons raised, searching for threats. They found none. The ship's interior was dark except for emergency lighting that cast everything in sickly green. The air tasted stale, recycled too many times through failing systems. Frost covered the walls in places where heating had completely failed. Fan out, Therax ordered. Find her. They moved through the cramped corridors, checking each compartment. The vessel was small, designed for solo operation, maybe short-range courier work. Nothing that should have been capable of evading an entire battle fleet for months. Yet somehow it had. They found her in a control room, sitting in the pilot's chair, facing away from the door. She did not turn as they entered, did not acknowledge their presence at all. For a moment, Therax wondered if she had died, if the cold and oxygen deprivation had finally claimed her. Then she spoke. "Hello, Therax. Right on time. You are nothing if not predictable." Her voice sounded warm, amused, completely at odds with the situation. No fear, no desperation. Just that same infuriating confidence that had mocked him through every transmission. "Stand up," Therax commanded. "Turn around slowly. Keep your hands visible." Maya swiveled the chair. She looked exactly like her intelligence photos. Mid-30s, dark skin, close-cropped hair, eyes that seemed to sparkle with permanent mischief. She wore a simple flight suit, gray and unremarkable. No weapons visible. No apparent means of resistance. "Commander Therax," she said pleasantly, as if greeting an old friend at a social gathering. "You have no idea how much effort it took to make this meeting happen. Really, I expected you to figure it out much sooner. Your species' reputation for tactical brilliance is clearly overrated." Therax felt his anger building. Even now, even defeated, she mocked him. "You talk big for someone who just lost everything, human. Your little game is over. Your freedom is over. Now you will face justice for the embarrassment you brought upon the Dominion." Maya smiled, not a nervous smile, not a brave facade hiding fear. A genuine, delighted smile. "Justice? Oh, Therax. Sweet, simple Therax. You still do not understand, do you? This was never about running. This was never about hiding. This was about positioning." "Positioning?" Krell repeated from behind Therax. "What nonsense is this?" "Think about it," Maya said, her voice taking on a lecturing tone, like a teacher explaining basic concepts to slow students. "I spent 3 months leading you on a chase across 17 systems. Did you ever stop to wonder why I chose those specific systems? Why those particular routes? Why I always seem to appear in certain sectors at very specific times?" Therax felt the first cold tendril of doubt. "You are stalling, trying to confuse us with word games." "Am I?" Maya stood up slowly, hands still visible, making no threatening moves. "Let me explain something about humans, Commander. We are not the strongest species. We are not the fastest. We do not have the most advanced weapons or the largest fleets. But we have something else. We understand patterns. We see connections. And most importantly, we are patient. She walked to a small view screen on the wall, tapping it to life. Star charts appeared, showing their current location and the surrounding systems. Every place I led you, every system where your fleets searched for me, what did they have in common? Therax studied the map, his mind racing. 12 of the 17 systems were Vorkan territory, or areas where the Dominion held significant influence. 3 were neutral zones. 2 were actually closer to human space. No obvious pattern jumped out at him. I will tell you, Maya continued, clearly enjoying herself. Every single one of those systems contains automated monitoring stations that you installed during your expansion campaigns. Sophisticated networks that constantly broadcast data back to your intelligence division. Very secure, very encrypted, very difficult to access or manipulate. Difficult, but not impossible. Not if someone has 3 months, a truly excellent hacker, and a very specific plan. The doubt was growing into genuine concern now. What are you saying? While you were busy chasing one small ship with your entire hunting fleet, while your admirals were redeploying resources to catch me, while your intelligence division was analyzing my every move trying to predict my next location, my partner was doing something much more interesting. He was following your fleets, using their own sensor shadows to hide his approach to each monitoring station. And at each station, he installed a very special piece of software, a gift from humanity to the Dominion. Therax felt ice forming in his chest. What kind of software? Maya's smile widened. The kind that gives us complete access to your entire intelligence network. Every sensor reading, every fleet movement, every encrypted communication, every strategic plan, every tactical assessment. We now see everything your military sees, hear everything your commanders say, know everything your government decides. Congratulations, Therax. You did not catch me. I caught you. The boarding team stood frozen, weapons still trained on Maya, but uncertainty rippling through their ranks. Krell stepped forward, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Commander! She is lying. This is another deception. She just wants to create doubt, buy time for some hidden escape plan. Maya laughed, a genuine sound of delight that echoed to the cold control room. Oh, Krell. Sweet, paranoid Krell. You want proof? Fine. Let me give you a little demonstration. She turned back to her console, moving slowly so no one would mistake her intentions as hostile. Her fingers danced across holographic controls. Right now, at this exact moment, your flagship Crimson Fury is positioned in Sector 7 Alpha, holding station near the gas giant Prometheus. Your second battle group is conducting exercises in the Kalan Asteroid field. Admiral Vex just sent an encoded message to the High Council complaining about fuel allocation for the extended hunt. And your wife, Therax, sent you a personal message 3 hours ago that you have not opened yet. She wants to know if you'll make it home for your daughter's bonding ceremony next month. She worries that you are too consumed by this hunt. Sweet message, really. Quite touching. Therax felt the floor drop out from under him. That message existed. He had received it. It sat unopened in his personal queue, encrypted with codes that only he and his family possessed. Codes that could not be broken, should not be accessible. Yet this human just quoted details that only he would know. How? The word came out as a whisper. I told you, Maya said gently, almost sympathetically. Humans are patient. We plan ahead. We think in moves and countermoves and strategies within strategies. You saw a chase. I saw an opportunity. You wanted a battle. I played chess. You compromised our entire security infrastructure, Krell said, his voice hollow with shock. You have given humanity access to classified military intelligence that could shift the balance of power in this entire region of space. Oh, it gets better, Maya said cheerfully. See, here's the really fun part. That software package my partner installed, it has a very special feature. If anyone tries to remove it, if your technicians attempt to purge the system or shut down the monitoring network, the program activates a secondary protocol. It broadcasts every piece of classified data it has collected to every news outlet, every independent station, every rival government in range. Imagine what happens when the Keldan Empire learns your fleet deployment patterns. When the Scythian collective sees your strategic assessments of their military capabilities, when the independent colonies discover your plans for economic pressure campaigns. She paused, letting that sink in. Chaos, Therax. Complete political chaos. Your allies will question whether they can trust the Dominion with shared intelligence. Your enemies will exploit every weakness the data reveals. Your own people will demand answers about how one human managed to compromise systems that were supposed to be impenetrable. The High Council will scramble to contain the damage, but they cannot, not without risking immediate exposure. Therax felt rage and humiliation warring inside him. She had played him perfectly, used his pride, his arrogance, his absolute certainty of Vorkan superiority as a weapon against him. Every pursuit, every near miss, every mocking message, all of it designed to keep him chasing while the real operation proceeded unnoticed. "So what now?" he asked, his voice heavy with defeat. "You want me to release you? Pretend this never happened? Let you walk away and celebrate your victory?" "Not quite," Maya said, her expression becoming serious for the first time. "Here is what happens next. You are going to return to the High Council. You're going to explain exactly what happened here. And you are going to recommend that they accept the original terms of our agreement. Remove the blockade on Terran colonies. Issue a public apology. Acknowledge that humanity deserves respect and fair treatment. And if we refuse?" Therax asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then my partner activates the broadcast protocol manually, and your entire intelligence apparatus becomes public knowledge. Your military advantage evaporates overnight. Your political standing collapses. And I promise you, Therax, humanity will make absolutely certain that every species in this sector knows exactly how it happened. The mighty Vorkan Dominion, brought low by one woman in a broken ship and a clever piece of code. How you think that story plays across the galaxy?" Krell moved closer to Therax, speaking quietly but urgently. "Commander, we cannot let her leave. If we eliminate her here, destroy her ship, erase all evidence, perhaps we can contain the situation, track down her partner, restore security." Maya overheard him and shook her head. "Bad idea, Krell. Really bad idea. My partner has standing orders. If I do not check in every 6 hours with a very specific code sequence, he assumes I've been captured or killed, and he activates full broadcast immediately. No negotiation. No second chances. You kill me, you guarantee your own destruction." "She could be bluffing," Krell insisted. "Could be," Maya agreed. "You want to gamble your entire civilization's security on that possibility?" "Because I am very comfortable with high-stakes poker, Krell. I just spent 3 months betting everything on this plan. Do you really think I would leave such an obvious hole in my strategy?" Therax stood silent, his mind racing through options and finding none that did not lead to catastrophe. She had anticipated everything, planned for every contingency, left it with no moves except the one she wanted him to make. This was not warfare as he understood it. This was not honorable combat between warriors. This was manipulation, psychological warfare, victory achieved through deception and preparation rather than strength. It was brilliant, infuriating and humiliating, but brilliant. "You said humans are patient," he finally spoke, "that they plan ahead, think in strategies within strategies. Was this all planned from the beginning? The diplomatic reception, the challenge, everything?" Maya tilted her head thoughtfully. "Not everything. I did not expect you to accept my challenge quite so quickly. I thought I might need to push harder, insult you more directly. But once you agreed, yes, the rest fell into place. I knew your pride would not let you quit, knew you would commit resources to the hunt, knew you would follow me wherever I led. Humans have a saying, give someone enough rope, and they will hang themselves. You gave me 3 months and 17 star systems. I used them well. Why? Therax asked. Why go to such lengths? Why risk so much for what amounts to a trade dispute and some wounded feelings? Because it was never about trade, Maya said quietly, her voice losing its playful edge. It was about sending a message. Humanity has been content to stay small, stay quiet, avoid drawing too much attention from larger powers. But we watch, we learn, We see how species like yours treat those you consider inferior, the casual dismissals, the economic pressure, the assumption that might equals right. Someone needed to demonstrate that strength is not the only path to victory, that underestimating humans based on our size or our relative youth as a spacefaring species is a mistake. She stepped closer to Therax, looking up at him with those sharp, intelligent eyes. You wanted to prove Vorkan superiority, Commander. Instead, you prove something much more important. You prove that pride makes you vulnerable, that tradition can blind you to innovation, that the greatest warriors in the galaxy can be outmaneuvered by someone willing to think differently. You humiliated me, Therax said flatly. Yes. Maya agreed without hesitation. Yes, I did, and I am not sorry. Because maybe, just maybe, this humiliation will make you and the High Council think twice before assuming you can push humanity around. Maybe next time you encounter a species that seems weak or insignificant, you will remember the woman who turned your entire military apparatus against itself. Krell made a frustrated sound. So we simply accept this? Allow her to dictate terms? Abandon everything the Dominion stands for? What the Dominion stands for, Maya said sharply, is conquest dressed up as order, dominance masked as stability. You are not peacekeepers or protectors. You are bullies with impressive weapons and a cultural tradition that glorifies aggression. Well, congratulations. You picked a fight with someone who fights dirty, thinks ahead, and does not give a damn about your traditions. She turned back to her console, pulling up another screen. I am sending you a communication package. Inside, you will find detailed instructions for how to approach the High Council with this information. I have included face-saving language, suggested diplomatic phrases, ways to frame this that minimize the damage to Vorkan pride while still achieving the necessary outcomes. I am not trying to destroy your civilization, Therax. I am trying to teach a lesson. And if we learn nothing, Therax asked, if the Council decides to refuse your terms regardless of the consequences, Maya met his gaze steadily. Then you learn the hard way. Humanity has been underestimated before. We were told we would never survive first contact with hostile species. We were told our worlds were too diverse, too divided, too chaotic to present a unified front. We were told 100 different reasons why we would fail. And yet here we are, not just surviving but thriving, because we are adaptable. We learn, we evolve, and we absolutely refuse to be dismissed. She moved toward the door of the control room, gesturing for the Vorkan soldiers to step aside. They looked to Therax for orders. He said nothing, and they reluctantly parted. One more thing, Maya said as she prepared to leave. That monitoring network we compromised, we are keeping it. Consider it insurance. As long as the Dominion honors the terms of our agreement, treats humanity fairly, and stops trying to bully smaller species, we will keep that access quiet. We will not abuse it. We will not sell the intelligence to your enemies. We will simply watch. But if you break faith, if you come after us again or continue your aggressive expansion policies, we will remind you what happens when you underestimate humans. Therax finally found his voice. You speak of honor and fair treatment while holding an entire civilization hostage with stolen intelligence. Where's the honor in that? Honor? Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it now. You want to talk to me about honor? Your species has conquered 14 worlds in the last century alone. You have enforced trade embargoes that starve colonies into submission. You have destroyed cultures that would not bend to your authority. And you lecture me about honor? No, Commander. You do not get to claim moral superiority here. You wanted a battle. You got outsmarted instead. Take your defeat with grace and maybe, just maybe, you will emerge from the situation with some actual honor intact. She walked through the boarding team, none of them daring to stop her. Therax watched her go, feeling the weight of failure crushing down on him. Everything he believed about Vorkan superiority, about the natural order of strong species dominating weak ones, about the righteousness of their cause, all of it had been turned inside out by one human who refused to play by the established rules. Commander, Krell said softly, what do we do? Therax took a long breath, forcing himself to think past the anger and shame. We return to the Iron Talon. We secure this vessel and analyze every system. See if we can learn anything useful from her methods. And then we go home and face the consequences of my arrogance." "You believe her?" Krell asked. "About the broadcast protocol, the impossible-to-remove software, all of it?" "It does not matter if I believe her," Therax replied tiredly. "The risk is too great. If she is telling the truth and we act against her, we destroy ourselves. If she is bluffing and we call it, we might salvage the situation, but we might also trigger exactly what she described. Either way, the smart move is to accept terms and minimize damage." They made their way back to the boarding craft, leaving Maya's ship under guard but otherwise untouched. As the Iron Talon pulled away, Therax stood at the observation window, watching the small human vessel growing smaller in the distance. Somewhere inside, Maya Reed was probably laughing at him, celebrating her impossible victory. He had wanted a battle, a clean, honorable confrontation where strength would determine the victor. Instead, he got humiliation and a strategic nightmare that would haunt the Dominion for years to come. 3 days later, the High Council accepted the terms. The blockade was lifted. A formal apology was issued, carefully worded to acknowledge human capability, without explicitly admitting total defeat. Trade agreements were renegotiated on more equitable terms. And throughout known space, the story spread. The story of how one human woman outsmarted the greatest military power in the sector, using nothing but patience, planning, and the enemy's own pride. Therax resigned his commission a week after returning home. He could not continue serving when every officer under his command knew what had happened, when his name had become synonymous with catastrophic failure. He attended his daughter's bonding ceremony as a civilian, trying to rebuild some semblance of normal life. 6 months later, he received a message, private, encrypted with codes that should have been impossible for anyone outside Vorkan intelligence to possess. He opened it with a mixture of dread and curiosity. It was from Maya Reed. "Hello, Therax. I hope retirement treats you well. I wanted you to know that humanity has honored our end of the bargain. We have not sold your intelligence to anyone. We have not publicized the methods we used. And despite having access to your entire military network, we have not abused that advantage. We simply watch and ensure you keep your word. I also wanted to thank you. Your chase gave me one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. The planning, the execution, the risk, all of it was magnificent. You were a worthy opponent. Even if you never realized what game we were actually playing, be well, Commander. And remember, the next time you encounter someone who seems weak, consider that they might be planning something you cannot imagine. With respect and best wishes, Maya Reed." Therax stared at the message for a long time. Then, despite everything, despite the humiliation and the anger and the loss, he felt something unexpected. A smile, small, reluctant, but genuine. She had beaten him completely, thoroughly, without mercy. But she had also taught him something valuable. Pride was a weakness. Assumptions were dangerous. And sometimes the greatest strength was not in winning battles, but in choosing not to fight them at all. He deleted the message and went to find his family. The war was over. The hunter had lost. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, a human woman who played chess instead of war was probably already planning her next impossible victory at RA.